Heart, tragic villain, sci-fi, mystery, cuteness. Could this episode have it all? Find out as we talk about See No Evil right now. Right now. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. So glad to see you again. see no. And if you're new here, thank you for joining us. I think that you're going to like what you see, because if you're a big Batman fan like me and grew up on Batman the Animated Series, then this is the place to hang out. So welcome. Today we're talking about See No Evil, which originally aired on February 24th, 1993. And truly, this episode may have all the key elements that we need in a good episode of Batman, but we're going to talk about that right after our 60-second rundown of the show episode. And be sure to stick around to the end so you can find out where I rank this episode in my favorite episodes so far. We find ourselves in what looks like a really rough part of a suburb of Gotham with a young girl who has an imaginary friend named Mojo. He is giving her a necklace. When her mom comes in and she goes, "Oh, who are you talking to?" She says, "Oh, nobody. I'm just talking to my imaginary friend Mojo." "No, really, he was here. I promise you." And then we see that the Mojo is actually a man who has a cloak to hide himself, and he goes into this jewelry place invisible and steals a bunch of jewelries and gets the pearl necklace that she wants, and Batman is chasing after him through the cement, through the paint, and he gets away. And then Bruce Wayne does a little investigation to learn that Wayne Tech had done some research on this invisibility cloth, and he finds out that a guy has died that was working on that, but his assistant is still around. He goes to question his assistant. His assistant says he's getting rid of it. It doesn't work, and it's bad for you if you prolonged activity to this. So he sends Batman to another guy, another assistant, an errand boy that he's been working with, and that turns out that is the ex-husband of the woman who is the mother of the daughter. And Mojo is the real person. Mojo is trying to get his daughter back and doesn't want her to move away, and the mother to take her from him. And so he goes to take her, and he takes her to a drive-in movie theater and tries to get her in the car, and he takes his mask off and goes, "It's okay, it's me." And he goes, "I'm your father." And she goes, "Oh, I'm not supposed to talk to you." And Batman swoops in. They land on a car, which ends up on a train track somehow. And then Batman looks like he's flying, but he's not really. And finally, he is able to get him because the water is falling down on top of him from the water tower. And then the young girl is talking to another imaginary friend, and mom comes in there and goes, "Who are you talking to?" And she goes, "Oh, it's okay, it's just Batman." And she goes, "Oh, that's nice. Sure he was." And then we see Batman on the top. There was no way, no hope of that one, but it was fun.
Kimberly? Who are you talking to?
Nobody, Mommy, just Mojo.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed him.
When I sat down to watch this one, I come to learn that it is actually on the first volume of the DVDs of Batman the Animated Series, which means it was made early in the series, but wasn't released until now, almost the end of the first season. I don't know why they waited so long to get it out. Maybe they wanted to use some of the other villains and introduce them into the series, because this is kind of a one-off villain. But it's a really solid episode.
A better life somewhere else, huh? Where your dear old dad can't find you. That's what she really means.
The opening part where Mojo, the invisible friend of the girl, is in the bedroom talking with her, it's a very, very creepy scene. And that always stuck with me, that this invisible person is talking to this young girl. And you don't know at that point that it's actually her father, who went away to prison and is now out and is trying to get his daughter back.
Mojo, you came back.
Sure, I said I would, didn't I?
Uh-huh.
Look what I got for you.
Michael Gross, the voice actor, is incredible in this. He has a very calm, soothing, fatherly voice, but the fact that it's coming out of an invisible body, it just makes it extra creepy. And Michael Gross, you probably remember him from Family Ties. And he's also, incidentally, he is in a web series that a friend of mine is producing, which I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to check that out to see what he's up to now. But he's a tremendous actor, and he's a perfect fit for this character, which is a very soothing, fatherly kind of figure, but what he's doing is not too savory.
Now don't worry, I know that what you've really been hoping for is a pearl necklace. Well, I haven't found just the right one yet, but Mojo promises he'll bring you one next time he visits.
It's neat to me that they use this invisibility cloak as part of the story and justify why there's an invisible man.
But I seem to remember last year hearing something about an invisibility project.
When we were watching Zatanna, we were talking about how this series doesn't really get into the mystical, magical elements of superpowers. And so they rooted in reality in a science fiction sense of having him use this invisibility cloth. So now they introduced the Invisible Man, and it's not just a potion he drank or something. But what a great adversary for Batman, that Batman's trying to capture him, and you can only see his footprints, and there's echoes, and even though he may not be a great fighter and is just a regular guy, he puts up a good fight with Batman just because Batman can't see him.
Too bad about these high ceilings, huh, Batman? I mean, all this lousy echoing kind of makes it hard to get a fix on me, doesn't it? Especially since you wouldn't see me.
Here's just a regular guy who obviously loves his daughter and wants to get her back, but is going about it in the wrong method. And the mother who doesn't want her daughter to have anything to do with him.
All I want is for you to disappear.
Okay. But just remember the old saying, be careful what you wish for.
Again, it's a heavy topic to deal with in a kid's show, but they pulled no punches. Here is a divorced couple, and there's a daughter involved, and that's a very tragic story. No, he's not going about it the right way, and they kind of introduce that this cloth or this fabric that the invisibility is rooted in.
And prolonged exposure to the plastic can damage the mind as well as the body.
And it's a great mystery because when Bruce Wayne is investigating where this fabric came from, and he goes to Wayne Tech and is asking them about, wasn't that something that we worked on at one time?
We were interested in hearing more, Bruce, but Carroll's withdrew his proposal before we could close a deal.
So, that must be him. But no, that guy's dead. But
I've heard that his old assistant, Sam Goodell, was trying to carry on his research.
Then it's got to be that guy. So he goes into this lab and starts investigating to find out that it's not him either. That would have been the obvious choice. It was the assistant that was working on it. The man-bat kind of scenario where you think it's the doctor, but it's the assistant. No, it's not even him. He sends him off to somebody else, the errand boy that he was working with. So it's a nice mystery of Batman trying to connect the dots to figure out who the Invisible Man is.
Who else would know about this stuff?
Only the other assistant. Actually, he was more like an errand boy, an ex-con. Name's Ventress.
It's a really cute episode. We got the little girl who's talking to her imaginary friend, and at the end, of course, is talking to Batman.
Who are you talking to now?
Just Batman, Mommy.
Oh, him again.
But he really was here, Mommy.
I know, honey. I know.
And insists that he was really there. So it hits all those kind of heartstrings along the story and has a great story, a nice one-off episode. It wasn't too big of a story. And honestly, one of my favorite parts of the episode is when Mojo makes or whatever his real name is, makes the car that he's driving invisible, and Batman jumps on top. And as he's going through the city, a couple of guys see him. And
I didn't know he could fly, too.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, like I mentioned, it kind of hits on all those needed elements of a great Batman episode. Is the sci-fi, the mystery, the heart, the tragic villain, all those kind of components that come together. And it's interesting to me that all of that they kind of nailed it on the head with this one early on in production. I think this was like the 20th episode that they produced, but it wasn't released until much later. Here we are in the 55th or something like that. Came out much later, but they really kind of hit it in this one because he's a neat villain, but he's not so much, again, he's sort of like the Mad Hatter. He's not a villain to be a villain, but he is doing bad things to get to the means that he wants. Anyway, as I was looking down the list or looking up through the list, I ended up placing this at the number 17 spot of my favorite episodes so far. It falls just below I've Got Batman in My Basement, and I feel like it's very similar to that one in the sense of it's through the perspective of a young child, kind of this nice, small suburb story for Batman to handle. But it does beat out The Forgotten, because as great of a story as Forgotten is, the thing that it's missing is it doesn't have a lot of Batman. And as I mentioned in that review, that's not a deal breaker, but this one having a little bit more Batman, having a little bit more mystery, just bumps it up just above that in my list of favorite episodes so far.
Get ready for your biggest disappearing act, Ventress.
What's some other one-off episodes that you enjoy of the animated series? Like this one, that just is a nice, isolated, small story, and it's not huge. It's not the best episode that they ever made, but it's just a nice, tight, clean, precise episode. Let me know in the comment section below if there's another episode like this that you can think of that you really enjoy, that you go back to time and time again. Well, friends, as you know, I've been creating these episodes on the 25th anniversary of their original release date, and we're now just about to the end of the first season. However, there is another break in the schedule, and the next episode for Batman the Animated Series doesn't come out until May. So I'll see you in May, everybody. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to make you wait till May to see the last couple episodes of the first season. So I'm actually working on those to release them next week. So keep an eye out for that. So if you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button. And if you want to see more and are looking forward to the episodes that are coming out next week, not in May, then just hit the subscribe button. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode, and I'll see you soon.